On the morning of September 30th, 2011, the quiet luxury of the exclusive Admiral S. Cove community in Jupiter, Florida, shatters under the deafening roar of gunfire. Radley Horwitz jolts awake in his bedroom, hearing the distinct, sharp cracks of a firearm, and his mother S. screams echoing through the corridors of their sprawling mansion. He rushes downstairs and across the home to the master suite, where he makes a grim discovery inside the master bathroom. His father, wealthy real estate developer Lanny Horwitz, lies lifeless on the shower floor, having absorbed 9 bullets, including a final impact through the mouth. First responders swarm the residence moments later, at first suspecting a self-inflicted end due to an empty revolver resting near the body. The awkward, impossible trajectory of the wounds convinces detectives of a different reality, pointing toward a targeted execution inside a secure fortress. They find Lanny ex-wife, Donna, pacing the halls in an erratic state, refusing to answer basic questions, setting the stage for an investigation into the darkest corners of human obsession. The coastal town of Jupiter, Florida, projects an aura of impenetrable wealth and tropical tranquility during the late 2000s. Palm trees line the manicured avenues of Admiral S. Cove, a gated enclave where high-net-worth individuals retreat behind guardhouses, heavy iron gates, and sophisticated security systems. The residents expect absolute privacy and safety, surrounded by pristine golf courses and yacht-filled marinas bathed in the glow of sodium streetlights. Lanny Horwitz fit the mold of this world of prestige and accomplishment. As a successful real estate developer, he possessed a sharp business acumen that afforded his family a lavish lifestyle filled with luxury vehicles and sprawling estates. He spent decades building a formidable empire, pouring his energy into complex property deals and ambitious investments that secured his financial future. People described Lanny as a driven, focused man who valued order and structure in both his professional and personal affairs. He maintained a strict daily routine, waking early to review contracts before preparing for a rigorous day of negotiations. Despite his massive success, those close to him knew he looked forward to the next phase of his life, hoping to step back from the daily grind and enjoy extensive travel. He wanted to enjoy the fruits of his labor, sharing his wealth with his family while seeking genuine companionship. The domestic life inside the Horwitz mansion presented a stark contrast to the perfect facade of the Admiral S. Cove neighborhood. Lanny and his ex-wife, Donna Horwitz, shared an unconventional and turbulent bond that spanned several decades. They possessed a fractured history, having married and divorced each other 2 separate times over the course of their tumultuous relationship. Despite the finality of their second divorce, the couple continued to reside together beneath the same roof in the sprawling Florida mansion. They attempted to navigate a fragile, codependent reconciliation, blurring the lines between former spouses and current partners. The massive size of the home allowed them to live separate lives while remaining tethered to the same address. They shared the sprawling estate with their 37-year-old son, Radley Horwitz, a single father raising his own child within the turbulent household. This multi-generational living arrangement created a complex and strained dynamic, filled with unspoken resentments and shifting allegiances. Lanny provided the financial foundation for everyone in the home, placing immense pressure on his shoulders to maintain peace among the warring factions. The walls of the mansion absorbed years of silent tension, echoing with the ghosts of past arguments and unresolved grievances. The physical layout of the Horwitz residence reflected the emotional distance between its occupants. The mansion featured distinct wings separated by long, cavernous hallways lined with expensive artwork and polished marble floors. Lanny occupied the Grand Master Suite on the ground floor, a massive private sanctuary complete with a luxurious attached bathroom featuring a large glass shower enclosure. Radley and his child resided in a separate wing of the house, positioned far enough away to muffle the sounds of daily domestic disputes. Donna claimed her own space within the estate, though she drifted through the shared living areas, maintaining a watchful eye over the home. The heavy wooden doors and thick walls offered the illusion of privacy, yet the suffocating atmosphere of distrust permeated every room. At night, the deafening hum of cicadas outside masked the quiet footsteps pacing the interior corridors. The central air conditioning unit hummed without pause, a low, mechanical drone that filled the heavy silences during family dinners. Heavy metallic locks secured every exterior door and window, keeping the outside world at bay while trapping the family inside their own gilded cage. This suffocating isolation intensified the emotional stakes, turning the luxurious home into a pressure cooker waiting for a spark. The fragile peace shattered when Lanny began making active plans for his retirement years, signaling a shift in his priorities. He sought new ventures and started expanding his social circle beyond the stifling confines of the Admiral S. Cove mansion. During this period of transition, he grew close to a female business associate named Francine Tice, sparking rumors among their mutual acquaintances. Their professional relationship blossomed into a personal connection, characterized by shared interests and long, intimate conversations. This new dynamic threatened the delicate domestic arrangement Donna relied upon for her financial and emotional stability. She viewed her position within the household as a guarantee, assuming Lanny would always return to her despite their past divorces. The prospect of another woman capturing Lanny's attention fueled a deep-seated jealousy that consumed her waking hours. She perceived Francine not just as a passing interest, but as an existential threat to her entire way of life. The whispers of a new romance echoed in Donna's mind, twisting her perception of reality and plunging her into a quiet, simmering rage. The mansion transformed from a shared sanctuary into a battleground for control, with Lanny oblivious to the depth of the impending storm. The breaking point for the fractured household arrived in the final weeks of September 2011. Lanny finalized concrete plans to travel to North Carolina with Francine Tice, booking flights and securing accommodations for a private getaway. This scheduled trip represented a definitive line in the sand, closing the door on any permanent romantic reconciliation with Donna. He made his intentions clear, demonstrating a desire to move forward with his life and leave the endless cycle of marriage and divorce behind. The confirmation of the North Carolina trip reverberated through the mansion, confirming Donna's darkest fears regarding her ex-husband's future. She watched him pack his belongings and prepare for the journey, every action a physical reminder of her fading influence over him. The tension in the house reached an unbearable peak on the evening of September 29th. Lanny retired to his master suite, locking the heavy wooden door behind him to ensure an undisturbed night of rest before his morning meetings. The house fell silent, save for the rhythmic crash of the distant ocean waves and the mechanical hum of the central cooling system. Dawn broke on the morning of September 30th, 2011, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns of Admiral S. Cove. Lanny rose early, adhering to his disciplined routine, and stepped into the expansive master bathroom to prepare for the day. He turned the polished chrome handles, sending warm water cascading down the glass walls of the massive shower enclosure. He draped a thick cotton towel over the top of the glass door, stepping inside the steam-filled cubicle. Moments later, an assailant breached the sanctity of the master suite, moving with calm determination toward the sound of the running water. The intruder brandished two distinct revolvers, raising the weapons toward the obscured silhouette behind the glass. Diaphaning cracks shattered the morning calm as the assailant fired multiple rounds straight through the thick glass door and the hanging towel. The heavy projectiles shattered the barrier, sending sharp shards cascading onto the wet tile floor. Lanny absorbed the initial impacts, stumbling forward in a desperate attempt to push the heavy glass door open and escape the confined space. The assailant stood firm, tracking the desperate movements and discharging additional rounds as Lanny struggled to breach the exit. The sound of the discharging weapons echoed through the cavernous hallways of the mansion, penetrating the heavy walls of the distant wings. Radley, asleep in his separate quarters on the opposite side of the sprawling residence, jolted upright at the unmistakable noise of gunfire. He threw off his blankets and sprinted down the long carpeted corridors, his bare feet slapping against the polished marble of the main 4-0. He reached the master suite, pushing past the heavy wooden door to find a scene of utter devastation inside the bathroom. The air hung thick with the acrid scent of sulfur and burned gunpowder, mixing with the steam rising from the still-running shower head. He found his father slumped against the damaged shower enclosure, surrounded by shattered glass and the grim reality of a permanent end. Panic set in as Radley searched for signs of life, his screams piercing the morning silence and prompting an immediate call to emergency services. Patrol cruisers from the Jupiter Police Department breached the gates of Admiral S. Cove within minutes, their sirens wailing against the serene luxury of the neighborhood. Officers secured the perimeter, establishing a wide cordon around the sprawling property to preserve the integrity of the scene. They conducted a meticulous exterior sweep, finding the heavy exterior doors locked tight and the sophisticated security alarms untouched. The physical evidence presented an undeniable truth, proving the perpetrator left zero signs of forced entry, broken windows, or burglary. Detectives stepped into the master bathroom, mapping the trajectory of the bullet holes piercing the glass and the resting positions of the empty revolvers. They located Donna in the adjacent hallway, pacing with a vacant stare and offering disjointed, inconsistent statements about her exact whereabouts when the gunfire erupted. She claimed to be in another section of the massive house, unable to pinpoint her location or explain the lack of urgency in her response. The investigators scrutinized the pristine exterior doors and the untouched alarm system, comparing those facts against the chaos inside the master suite. The realization dawned on the investigative team that the threat had not breached the walls from the outside. The fatal encounter was an inside job, orchestrated by someone familiar with the layout, the security, and the morning routine of the vulnerable man in the shower. Investigators expand their perimeter outward from the shattered glass of the master bathroom, mapping the extensive floor plan of the sprawling Jupiter estate. The primary challenge materializes at once as crime scene technicians begin a systematic swoop of the massive multi-wing residence, opening heavy oak cabinets and locked storage safes. Law enforcement officers uncover a staggering private armory concealed within the domestic spaces. Detectives inventory 26 individual firearms scattered throughout the property, along with thousands of rounds of live ammunition. This sheer volume of weaponry creates a massive logistical hurdle for the forensic team. Technicians must catalog every single rifle, shotgun, and handgun to isolate the specific tools utilized in the early morning attack. The two discharged revolvers resting on the tile floor demand intense scrutiny to match their specific caliber against the vast collection. Ballistics experts transport the entire arsenal to the state laboratory, initiating a meticulous process of comparing firing pins and rifling patterns. The presence of so many weapons within the residence forces investigators to reevaluate the threat level inside the home. They realize the perpetrator possessed unlimited access to immense firepower, yet chose two specific revolvers for the close quarters ambush. The investigation confronts a significant legal and forensic hurdle involving the surviving son Radley Horwitz. Defense attorneys and initial suspicions point a firm finger toward the 37-year-old single father sleeping in the opposite wing. Detectives dig into his personal history and uncover a background that matches the profile of a potential suspect. Radley operated as a former licensed gun dealer, possessing extensive knowledge of firearms and tactical training. Public records reveal a previous criminal conviction on his record for selling a firearm to a convicted felon. Investigators also uncover a compelling financial motive hidden within Lanny extensive estate planning documents. Upon his father's demise, Radley stood to inherit an estimated $500,000 in life insurance payouts and liquid assets. Detectives also field alternative theories suggesting a former business partner harbored deep grudges against the wealthy real estate developer. Law enforcement must dedicate vital resources to chase down these financial leads and verify the whereabouts of the former associate. The immense inheritance and the deep background in firearms cast a heavy shadow of doubt over Radley's frantic emergency call. Police recognize they must clear these alternative suspects through hard forensic science before narrowing their focus onto the true perpetrator. Seeking to establish physical facts over circumstantial theories, detectives separate the household members for immediate forensic testing. They request a standard gunshot residue test from both Radley and Donna to identify microscopic particles of barium and antimony on their skin. Radley complies without hesitation, extending his hands for the technicians to swab his skin and clothing. The laboratory results return negative, showing a total absence of the distinct chemical markers created by a discharging firearm. Donna adopts a rigid, uncooperative posture when approached by the crime scene investigators in the main hallway. She invokes her right to legal counsel and refuses to submit to the gunshot residue test. This refusal denies investigators a crucial piece of physical evidence, complicating the timeline of the morning events. Her evasive behavior contradicts her initial claim of being located far away from the master suite during the attack. Detectives note that an innocent person standing in a distant wing would have no fear of a chemical skin swab. The lack of residue on Radley forces the investigative team to look closer at the locked doors and the undisturbed security system. The physical absence of an outside intruder leaves Donna as the only remaining individual unaccounted for during the critical window of time. Detectives shift their focus from the common areas of the estate to the private quarters occupied solely by Donna Horwitz. The layout of her bedroom reveals a highly organized space featuring heavy wooden dressers and deep walk-in closets. During a thorough search of these personal effects, an investigator reaches into a concealed space and extracts a hidden handwritten journal. This spiral-bound notebook emerges as the most crucial piece of forensic psychology in the entire investigation. The lined pages contain a massive unbroken record of Donna S. daily thoughts, fears, and observations spanning the final months of Lanny's life. Detectives read through the entries and discover a chilling chronicle of escalating paranoia and extreme domestic surveillance. Donna utilized the diary to track Lanny's daily schedule, documenting his every phone call and physical movement within the house. She recorded his interactions with Francine Tice in agonizing detail, highlighting the exact times he departed and returned from his meetings. The ink on the pages exposes a profound, suffocating despair regarding his impending trip to North Carolina. The handwritten text reveals a mind consumed by the perceived injustice of his new romantic life. Investigators realize they are holding a step-by-step psychological map of the mounting tension that culminated in the bathroom ambush. The discovery of the journal ignites a fierce, interpretive battle between the prosecution and the defense strategy. State attorneys categorize the detailed entries as undeniable proof of calculated premeditation and deep-seated obsession. They argue the notebook demonstrates a clear escalation of intent, proving the fatal encounter required days of mental preparation. Defense representatives counter this narrative, attempting to frame the writings as the harmless venting of a grieving, emotionally fragile ex-wife. They insist the pages merely reflect the pain of a broken family dynamic rather than a blueprint for an ambush. Detectives challenge this defense theory by comparing the timestamps of the journal entries against Lanny S.'s actual travel itinerary. The alignment proves exact, showing Donna's emotional instability, peaking at the precise moment Lanny finalized his flight arrangements. The entries shift from expressions of sadness to declarations of absolute finality in the days leading up to September 30th. Law enforcement views the diary not as a place for healing, but as a ledger of perceived wrongs requiring a permanent solution. The written words transform the pristine mansion from a peaceful home into a highly monitored trap. To dismantle the defense theory implicating Radley, investigators return to the physical geography of the Admiral S. Cove estate. The cavernous layout of the multi-level home creates unique acoustic challenges, causing sound to bounce and distort down the long marble corridors. Detectives must prove that Radley could hear the specific type of gunfire from his distinct bedroom on the far side of the property. Forensic technicians set up highly calibrated decibel meters in Radley's sleeping quarters and position a shooter inside the master bathroom. They conduct a series of live acoustic tests, firing blank rounds from identical revolvers behind the closed glass shower doors. The sharp cracks echo through the mansion, traveling through the ventilation shafts and bouncing off the hard tile floors. The recording equipment registers the exact audio signature, proving the gunshots sounded in the exact manner Radley described during his initial police interview. This scientific reconstruction validates his physical location during the attack and destroys the defense argument, framing him as the primary actor. The acoustic evidence builds an impenetrable wall around Radley's alibi, leaving no alternative explanation for the events of that morning. Detectives consolidate the negative residue tests, the audio validation, and the psychological weight of the hidden journal. They secure a comprehensive warrant, preparing to hold the author of the diary accountable for the tragic reality documented on its pages. The final confrontation shifts from the opulent halls of the Jupiter Mansion to the stark wood-paneled confines of a Palm Beach County courtroom. Law enforcement officers secure an arrest warrant on October 6, 2011, placing Donna Horwitz in custody and ending her brief period of freedom. The legal proceedings commence in January 2013, transforming the courthouse into a theater of strict forensic deconstruction. The prosecution maps the physical geography of the estate for the jury, displaying massive floor plans to demonstrate the distances between the separate bedrooms and the master suite. State attorneys stand before the gallery and present the hidden spiral-bound journal, placing the physical embodiment of a fractured mind into the public record. The handwritten pages transform from a private ledger of grievances into the central pillar of the case against the former wife. Prosecutors project the entries onto large screens, forcing the courtroom to read the desperate, obsessive thoughts documenting Lanny's final days. The ink strokes reveal a terrifying timeline, tracking the exact moments the real estate developer finalized his travel plans to North Carolina. The jury observes the physical manifestation of a simmering rage, watching the written words escalate from sadness to absolute finality. This documentary evidence strips away the facade of a grieving widow, exposing a predator operating within the perceived safety of a shared home. State attorneys utilize the chronological journal entries to reconstruct the quiet horror of September 30th, presenting a chilling narrative of the morning sequence. The prosecution paints a vivid picture of the suspect retrieving 2 loaded revolvers from the vast private armory hidden inside the estate. They trace the final steps down the long marble corridor, advancing with strict intent toward the master bathroom while the sound of running water masks the approach. The trial exhibits demonstrate how the perpetrator bypassed the heavy wooden doors and stood inches from the glass shower enclosure with weapons raised. The state argues the physical evidence proves this event required intense calculation, refuting the defense theory of an uncontrollable domestic tragedy. Forensic experts testify regarding the projectile trajectories, demonstrating how the shooter tracked the desperate movements of the vulnerable man behind the shattered glass. The jury listens to the forensic reconstruction, realizing the fatal threat did not breach the exterior gates of Admiral's Cove. The danger waited in the adjacent room, watching the morning routine unfold before unleashing a devastating and permanent barrage. The presentation of the empty revolvers beside the shower floor seals the sequence, showing a deliberate discarding of the weapons after completing the grim objective. The courtroom falls silent as the weight of the premeditation settles over the gallery, cementing the reality of a targeted execution. The defense team struggles to overcome the sheer volume of psychological and physical evidence presented during the weeks of testimony. They attempt to shift focus back to Radley, hammering on his financial motives and his vast knowledge of firearms, but the acoustic tests and the negative residue swabs hold their ground. The jury retreats to the deliberation room, carrying the heavy burden of the spiral-bound journal and the forensic photographs. They weigh the absence of an outside intruder against the obsessive writings documenting the end of the fractured relationship. The panel reviews the timeline, aligning the final diary entry with the exact morning Lanny planned to leave for his new life. The realization takes hold that the ex-wife chose a permanent resolution over the pain of watching her former partner move forward with another woman. Every piece of circumstantial and physical data points toward a single conclusion, leaving no room for reasonable doubt regarding the identity of the shooter. The jurors consolidate the facts, connecting the uncooperative behavior at the crime scene to the strict